The Garmin Echomap UHD Ultra 2 is said to be one of the best fish finders ever made. So I installed it on my boat to test it out. I kept the installation pretty basic because I'm only borrowing this unit for a little while to test it out. As you can tell, I put it on the front deck of the boat, just screwed directly into the deck, and then I threw the transducer onto the trolling motor. And it's not ideal because this trolling motor is old, smaller, but it worked for me testing it out and playing around with it. However, I could see this install getting pretty complicated with all the other features that would need to be activated and plugged in and wires ran to and everything. So the installation process could get way more complicated and you might need somebody who does it for a living. So now for the meat and potatoes. How does it actually perform on the water? Well, overall, I was very impressed with it. Of course, I mean, it's one of the high-end fish finders. I struggled to find a lot that I didn't like about it. The screen was very bright, easy to see when I took it out. I even tried to look at it from different angles and found it pretty easy to see. There were some like extreme angles that made it hard, but for the most part, how I would have it set up, I didn't have a problem seeing the screen. Speaking of the screen, it's big enough also to see. You know, the Echomap UHD Ultra series really isn't for small boats and kayaks. It's really for bigger boats so you can get larger screens, make it easy to see, and it's touchscreen. I like that about it, but I don't do a lot of fishing in like frigid cold temperatures, so I don't know how well it responds in cold temperatures, but while testing it, I didn't have a problem with response time. You pushed it and the menu popped up and was ready to rock and roll. Another pro is just all the features. They were awesome. Starting with the maps. While testing it, I found the maps to be pretty accurate. I was testing it in areas that I'm familiar with on the lake, and the contour maps seem to be pretty accurate. Our lake is actually down a little bit right now, so they weren't like spot on, but that's because the lake that I fish just fluctuates so much, but they were close enough to, you know, while you're studying them, be able to go find a spot and know roughly how deep it's gonna be. And then the sonar, that's where this unit really shines. I love the fact that you can run all three sonars at the same time and you can still have your map running too. The screen is a little bit small for that, but I found it big enough and my eyes aren't that great. I found the down scan and the side scan to be very detailed. I used it mostly on a flat, but I did pick up several rocks that I just wouldn't have known were there on side scan. And in a couple spots with the traditional sonar, I picked up what looked to be somebody's brush piles that they had put there. So it's definitely top notch, which I would highly expect coming from Garmin's high-end unit. There's also several other features that I simply couldn't test out because my boat's too old or my other equipment's too old. For instance, you can hook this unit up to your Garmin trolling motor, or if you run a newer Mercury or Yamaha motor, you can also hook it up to that and ensure everything's running smoothly. It will also connect to your active Captain app, which I think is pretty cool. So if you want to study your maps on your phone at home, you can do that, and then you can actually mark waypoints and they will show up on the unit itself. I thought that was pretty cool. And I didn't hook it up to livescope, but it is livescope compatible. So if that's something you're interested in, you can definitely hook it up and get going. All right, but everything was not rainbows and unicorns. While I do really like this high-end unit, it comes at a crazy expensive price. It would just be impossible for me to justify spending over $1,800, $1,900 on this one unit. Not to mention that with just the unit, you don't get all the access to all the other features. So you're paying a lot of money for features that you don't necessarily get to use. And that includes livescope. With livescope, you've still got to buy the black box and the transducer and hook it up. So you're adding another $1,200, $1,500 on top of this unit that you're getting already. So to take full advantage of this, I mean, we're looking at $5,000 almost just to get on the water usable with all the features. And that's with one of the smaller screens. As you get larger, the price is just gonna go up. So that brings me to who the heck is this for? And honestly, this is not a beginner-friendly unit at all. It's too complicated with too many features. It's way too expensive. So if you're a beginner, I would not recommend this. There's a couple of others that I will recommend here in a little bit, but this unit is just not beginner friendly. But if you're a tournament angler or a guide, the Garmin Echomap UHD Ultra 2 is an excellent option for you. This is because it'll help you find fish on tournament day. that others are overlooking. And if you're a guide, it'll help you put your clients on more fish, which means happier clients and more money in your pocket. So if that's you, please use the links down in the description below to purchase this unit. It's at no extra cost to you, but we get a small commission that allows us to keep producing content like this. However, if it's not for you, then I recommend checking out the video down below me right now where I review the Garmin Echomap UHD.